for 8 hours. It's my first time. Okay, greetings, one and all. I think what I want to do is I need to share this because I'm not familiar with being able to, I want to be able to see comments also. So give me one moment. Not to do this my first time. Okay, that's screen share. You know, there's a first time for everything. And they even have control room and cameraman, whatever that is. Okay, there's the chat because I want to make sure I see the chat. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where I go to share because I want to share this. Oh, if I do this, where? Settings? Nope. See, yesterday I saw the thing to share, and now I don't see it. Let me see.
Okay.
I don't know where I see it. You know what? I'll have to go to my just go on the YouTube itself because that's why it's good to have more than one electronic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I see it. I see it. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay. I'm shared in the story. Okay. Greetings, one and all. It is the new moon in Capricorn. New moon in Capricorn, right? And solar eclipse. So I am on here live in New York, and I have a wonderful, beautiful soul, Kelly Lee, who's all the way in Australia, who's kind enough to come on here with me. And we wanted to just speak a little bit about what's happening in the energies and how it's been affecting us with our path and everything like that. But before we get to that, I wanted to announce that I will be conducting a workshop on January 11, 2019. It's an online workshop, and it is going to be facilitated by Zoom. It'll be from 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to be for anyone who is on their path and they would like to have more clarity or assistance, because I am a twin soul reader, and I also am empathic, and I also have the ability to look into your past lives or any type of assistance that you may need on your journey. The difference is that this is in a more private setting and it's more intimate, where we'll be able to interact. Even if you don't want to show your face, you don't have to. But at least you'll be able to ask questions and be interacting with me and have answers, and it's in a more private setting. If you're not able to attend the workshop, it will still be videotaped, and you'll be able to purchase it as a link if you'd like to. So all you have to do is just send me an email, and I'll be able to go further from there. So in the meantime, we are all going through some massive shifts, and I've been having so much conversations with Kelly for the past, like almost every day, practically every day. And a lot of what we have been going through, we're all on different waves and different, I would say, different levels of our awakening. And also we may be having different symptoms, different things just going on, so on and so forth. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what was shown to me, I think it was earlier this week, that I had a conversation with Kelly, and she was asking me questions, which I love when I'm asked questions, because when I'm asked questions, the information just flows and it comes out, even greater. And so she asked me about, as far as the unions that are taking place, because of the fact that from the New Year's, I had gone through some major purging. I mean, like major purging. And from what I gathered and understood is that the purging had to do with a lot of things that we have experienced, especially from the beginning of time. And it was almost like the last hurrah. And so with Capricorn being in this center of the eclipse, plus the full moon. And we have another eclipse coming up on January 21st. This has to do with how much more we're stepping into our soul expression and what we're here to do. And that means that even if what you know you're here to do, or what you feel your calling is, and how it connects you to that other person that you're connected to, that means that we're stepping even bolder and braver with our gifts. And sometimes you may feel like as if you're going back into some sort of fear, or you might feel like you know, what if you're going against the other person and what you may need to do, or and so on. But I tell you this, what I have said, I even mentioned this to Kelly, is that this is bigger than the person that we're connected to. This has to do with Mother Earth. This has to do with Gaia. This has to do with the ascension on the planet. This has to do with more and beyond just the physical relationship that we might be having with ourselves and, you know, and anyone else. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is especially the symptoms. So some of us have been purging with anger, frustration, sleeping for a very long time, or feeling just fatigue and tiredness and all of that, going to the bathroom for, you know, frequently and more often. A lot of the divine masculine, I've heard even from some that I've been speaking with, a lot of them have been coming my way, is that they are in fear of what's happening around them, because they're at a loss with things, either loss of a job, loss of someone in their life, whether through death or a relationship that's severed or ended. Also, they're starting to feel more, and there's also like a feeling of remorse and wanting or desiring forgiveness from their divine feminine. There's more fluid dreams and visions that are coming through to them, and so it's like trying to make sense of everything. So we have to think about, for some of us, when we just started awakening, and what it was like when you realize that a lot of the things that you thought you knew was not true, and also a lot of things that was told to you, you realize that this was really the path to take, you know, because it has to do with how much you're connecting to your intuition and connecting to your feelings about where you're to be, where to go, and so on and so forth. So, but either way, I wanted to share at least that much, to give that much information. And the divine feminine, she's also stepping even more into her masculine energy as well. And the reason is because Mars is now in Aries. And what it means is that we're all taking action in a different way. And we're really shifting out of the old structures of what or how we think we manifest things. And so that means that we're taking, you know, like bigger steps in, not just, like I said before, and just walking it, but we're talking it, embodying it. And I even said to Kelly, it's like, I feel like we're at I was at a place of I am, like I is in this certain element of being on this path. And you still might come into a feeling like you have doubts, you know, and so forth. And that's okay to have the doubts, or feel like if this is really not going to happen. But I can tell you this, from what's been shown to me, when you are really aligning with your path, it is still a part of your journey as far as who you're connected to, because everything intertwines. The key thing is that we have to keep shifting out of the old templates, and we're now templating a new grid on Earth. And what that means is that there's a lot of things that are being uprooted from the root chakra, which is like right in the navel area. And so because of that, that's the reason why we probably might be going to the bathroom more frequently. Things are just being like pulled out from the, what you call it, your colon, and all that energy. And at the same time as that is pulling out, we're templating new DNA codes and so on. So I wanted to at least share that much. And I wanted to have Kelly get to share something about herself, because she is about to become an author, and she is on her path, very similar to me in so many ways. And her journey in and of itself is also about what she's here to do to bring more light onto Earth. And her path has brought her to where she's also an author. She's an author. I'm going to say she's an author, and her book is about to be published. And so right now we're at a place where a lot of information that has been out there has been distorted. And also, there's so much people that I watch and I see how they're still in pain, or they're still regurgitating through the same type of information. And everything that we're doing and being is bringing things back to the pure state, the pure unconditional space, and also filtering through all the other stuff. So that way, as we are working through the new grid, that element is what's bringing us together in that sacred union space. So the book that she has that is coming out is going to be available for those who are on their path. And we prefer to use the term true love, because true love is really what this is all about. It has to do with coming back to our hearts and coming back to that center and that inner balance that we have. So that way, as we are moving through these energies, we are now coming into a greater creative space, because this is the true magic and this is the true embodiment of the Christed energy. So I'm going to let Kelly speak and talk about her book, because I'm so thrilled for her, because the book that is here to be, she's like the forerunner, she's ahead of the game with what is coming out in such a simple way and such a loving way. And that way we have less, I would say, chaos with how we are dealing with our journey, so we have a greater understanding of it. So I now give the floor to Kelly to speak.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Well, I could speak about many things, but I guess I'll start with my book. It isn't, though, it's entitled Flying Without Wings. So it is a journey, like Sharon was saying, of true love, basically true love. And I'm just really mindful of how much I give away, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone that's going to pick it up and read it before it comes out. It's due for release in the United States and globally on the 31st of January this month. So that's really exciting. It's been in publication for a while, so I'm quite excited to have it come out. Before I start to talk about a little bit about the book, I just wanted to say that this book was shown to me to write at the start of 2017. And so I do many things and tap into many of my gifts like Sharon. And I was in my Akashic records, and there was a lot shown to me. And this is a book that, so first of all, I'll just say it's a true story. It's my personal journey from a very, very young child, from the time I was born. And I was a very conscious child, and it's about a lot of the experiences that I had, not knowing that I was on this path that we talk about with a true love and a beloved. And so it's, again, I don't want to give away too much, but you'll have to buy the book. But I was shown in 2017 to write my story. And I remember saying, who's going to want to read my story? And then they showed me why people want to read my story and why my story was so interesting. Mm-hmm. And it was just like this whole, like, light switched on in me. And I thought, wow. Because at the time I was still holding some worthiness issues, self-worth that we all go through. I hadn't entered the deeper layers of my self-love journey then. I had been on my self-love journey for quite a while. But I hadn't entered the true deep levels, because I say self-love is like peeling back the layers of an onion, which is a term that we often use with a lot of things. And as a coach, I used to see people say, oh, I love myself, but they did, that was only the first and second layers, and it just goes deeper. So I was in a place where I didn't think what I had to offer as my personal journey was going to, help some, yes, but on the grand scale of writing and releasing a book. So I was guided all the way along, and I wrote the book in 2017. I still was, struggling with the self-worth issues, struggling with, an unknown author who's going to want to read my story. I also was struggling with this journey still, in that I had spent many years in groups, soul connection, twin flame groups, you name it. And I had watched how everything just cycled and cycled and cycled from ego and ego and ego. And I've been out of all groups and off that social media for 2 years now, and I've got to tell you, it's the best thing I ever did.
I know why.
Yeah, yeah. So don't get me wrong, I'm on Instagram and YouTube, but yeah, no. So I could see the judgment and the just not only the judgment, I could just see and how, and this is what I wanted to say, it's very important, people's judgment. And I think on this path we can get we read into other people's journey, and we read into what's going on, and we even can read in to like all those comments and posts that people, what I mean, about their journey. And what I was seeing is so many, as I got deeper and deeper and deeper into my self-love journey, I was still seeing so many that weren't, and they were putting out a lot of information that was very confusing to others and sending them off path, because it was coming from their own ego, their own self-judgment, their own fear of this journey, their own, and everything came from, everyone was talking connection, and nobody was talking about the love. And so I started to go on a different path of how I really connected with, obviously, myself, and my coming to inner union with myself, because that was what I was doing at the time. And writing my story was an amazing healing process. It took me through some deep purging, obviously, because when you think about, I was going from my childhood all the way through, so a lot of inner child stuff again, and I had done a lot of work for years on that, and I had done 3 dark nights of the soul, and like, you name it, like we've talked about, Sharon, I had done so much work. You
can't even count it, right?
You couldn't even fathom. No. And I think I'd pushed myself to limits too, because I at the time I was doing one-on-one personal development sessions and taking people deep into themselves. So every time, as a coach, we do that, it's also showing up things in us. So that's like a double whammy, So I'd done so much work, but I kind of woke up, if you want to call it, of this whole I don't even know what word to call it, that I was just viewing from a higher plane, a higher level of this path that everybody was just, having input on and directing people in the wrong way. And the words escape me at the moment, but because I've just got so much going on that I want to, that I would love to speak about, but I'm trying to stay on the track. And so as we go on.
I mean, because I one of the main things, like what the observation we've made just this week alone, is the fact that there's so much distortions that are just coming out more and more to the surface, and what Spirit has been showing me, what I remember I said, you said, it's like we're being taken deeper and deeper. And for some of us, because we're all on different levels, and for some of us who are the original templated pairs, it's like we're processing for our individual path and the collective at the same time.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I felt, because I, like you and my beloved, we're an original pair. And so this is what I had looked at over the last 18 months to 2 years, that I knew that it was different in some way for us. And I knew that how it worked for some others is not how it worked for us. So I kind of felt like I had to just let everything I knew go and fully take my own, like fully connect and take my own higher self guidance, my higher divine beings that assist me. And even though I was doing that, I was still in a place where I was allowing people to come in, access my energy, that were on this path, or you know, friends or whatever else, and try and tell me, no, that's not right, or no, it should be this way, or it should be that way, or no, I don't think that, you know, you're getting told the right stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get led off path.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had to really cut off from a lot of people, which only really happened mid last year. I had something happen on the journey, so that was mid 2018, and there was others I had to, and I really did feel I had such divine intervention that they just came in and removed those people from my path,
Mm-hmm.
because there was still those that were trying to come in and interfere. And I
Can I
say
pause?
this,
Can I pause for 1 second, as you said, to hold
yeah,
your thought, because I want
sure,
people to also understand when that happens, that it's because of the sacredness of the union of each individual soul on their path, and it is necessary to stay in your lane. That's my motto, to stay in your lane, meaning that do not pay so close attention to what others' paths are. Even if you're in groups and stuff like that, be mindful that you're sucking in the energy of all those people and what they're experiencing. Every time you read something, every time you're listening to a video and they're talking it from their own experiences. And what happens is, while we're trying to come into this union space, it is so, I call it delicate surgery. Okay.
yeah,
I call it delicate surgery. So it reminds me of that game Operation. I think they still have that game. As soon as you touch one little thing that goes wrong, you go like that, and then
yeah,
game over. Right? But it's not game over for us anymore. It's not the same anymore. So even if you're not removing someone or something out of your life, Spirit is going to do it for you. Okay, the universe is
exactly,
going to do it for you. And what's happening? I think, Kelly, this was when we were talking, and I was talking about how Spirit showed it to me, is that there's some of us who may have been on the path for like maybe 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, for such a long time. And what happens is each one of us is templating on different parts of the planet, okay, the twin flame pairs. And what happened is there's some who may have just awakened maybe a year or two or less, and they're already moving into that physical union space. But what happens is there's something that's being held on the grid itself, where some may be coming in that inner part of the vortex, because the vortex is right in the navel area of the belly button, which is that sacred root chakra, which is why there's so much energy that is processing through us. Okay. And what happens is some of those twins are holding space as they're coming to unity. So that way, those who were the original pairs, we have certain codes and frequencies and certain DNA elements that's within our soul. Every time you go through a shift and you're purging through these eclipses and it's releasing out of your body, whether you're going to the bathroom, whether you are sleeping and it's being processed through your dream state while you're sleeping. And as that happens, it's like you're holding an anchor to allow those that are already coming in, and then it might stop at a little point. Because remember, Kelly, I was describing it like Jenga, like some it may
yeah,
come up, then this sequence of whatever within that soul, because that's why when you see all the codes that are coming in on a particular day, it's because of what's weaving in and out as we're ascending and which set of pair is moving through. You might feel even
yeah,
more energy that is shifting between yourself and your counterpart, because that's what's happening with me also, like literally feeling everything to do with him. Do you see what I'm saying? So I wanted
yeah,
to at least stop right there, which is why I'm so happy to have you on, because sometimes it's like I can't remember some, then it's like as soon as you say that, I'm getting activated to remember, and then I'm able to demonstrate it by showing you with my hands what is really happening. Because as we get closer to the middle of this year, how Spirit showed it to me is that there are more physical units coming to place, and it's holding space for the next wave that's coming through. Because as the earth is ascending to a particular frequency, as the light quotants are flowing through and coming through onto earth, and it's being templated on earth, it is like kind of holding that space for those next set of people who are awakening, not necessarily on a twin soul path. And there's some that are leaving. So everything is just happening simultaneously, in other words. Okay,
yeah,
it's happening simultaneously, because it's literally like they kept telling me it's like a new earth, a new covenant. We're being prepared like the brides of Christ that was written in scriptures. And what that really means is everything that is being uprooted from all the belief systems, all the programming, even those from the twin soul path that are programmed within more programs and more programs and more programs. They're just looping. So when you spoke about being out of the group, it's because you had to be brought out into a space of being able to focus on your book. So that way, whatever is coming through is coming in that space of purity to what has to be given to those that would now be ready for the new information. You see? And that's the reason why you had to be out of the Facebook group. Okay, so I wanted to just,
exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly. And when I look at it like that, I just knew, like, my higher self just knew, and just for those that are listening, I know you know, but for years now, I'm guided every day. My whole life is being guided by my higher self. So when I'm told something, even if I don't want to do it and my ego, gets in the way, I still do it anyway. And I've moved around like that in the last 4 years, but. And I was shown, I had to go off. And I was at a place where I could see anyway from a higher consciousness that I could just see exactly what it was doing and how toxic it was, and how all those groups, and how that, people were just cycling in that. And look, I get that they go on to social media to gain information, to also help them. I understand some are in the stages of extreme pain, and they go on every day thinking that they might read something that will just alleviate that pain a little bit and help them. I do understand that. Just on that, before we move back, because I wanted to comment and something that you said, Sharon, I just wanted to say that anyone that's listening that is in that place, the advice, I think, and you would back me up and agree with me on this, the advice we would give is that to not keep going in and cycling in that toxic energy, trying to help yourself, to please seek out somebody on a more professional level. Like, Sharon, you've put things out and doing things. I've put things out and doing things. I've got my self-love and energy course, things like that, that people, and this is what I did, because you need to get, you need to really put yourself and your energy in a place where it's not so toxic like that, and you're not just cycling around day in, day out, in everyone else's energy and everyone else's ego. And look, I come from I know they're coming from fear. So I know they're not meaning to send people off path or upset people or deter anyone. They're coming from their own fear. But until you really get yourself out of those groups and out of those situations, you're only going to cycle like they are in that same thing. And so also with this, there's a lot of people that just are so attached to the physical outcome,
yes.
that, which I found on my path, they don't, because on my path and my journey, I did not know about this label or whatever the situation, put it that way. I always knew of a true love, and I don't want to spoil my book, but if we're talking about twin souls and such, I didn't know that straight away. And my spiritual path and journey started with all the other stuff, learning energy and the cosmos and all that. And I found that there's a lot of people on this path that are just so attached to that physical outcome that they don't even understand, and they don't learn about energy and the higher realms and the higher guidance, and what you were just talking about, how it goes way beyond two people.
Yes.
So when you were saying before, it was amazing about the grids and what we're here to do, and how, and another thing you were explaining, that when we say it goes way beyond the personal sort of couple, is meaning that, yeah, the bigger picture, the divine can see who needs to anchor in what at what time, and how, connected with the energies that are flowing in. And like you were saying, that's why some might be coming into that physical presence and union together, that have only been on this journey for a year or two, and others that haven't. But it also depends on the original, you can say it better than me.
Original template.
the original templates and how that all works, which you just explained before, didn't you, in your
Yeah, yeah, because it's like I look at it this way, how it has always been described to me is like in the beginning there was just that came from the template of divine mother and father, and then as it split, and each time it split into different rays and sequences. So that's as far as how I can best explain, because sometimes the things that I see can't even be explained in words. It's like
yeah.
I see it and I get the visions coming in so quickly. And the thing about it is that every single second of the day, the cells of our body are being upgraded to what is templating on earth. And as we are embodying this light, that means that everything outside of us is going to continue to break down, which includes everything, everything. And no matter what, even though it may look like someone is removed from your path while we're going through all of this, it's still a part of the unity of what's happening with returning to unity consciousness. But it's just that we have to go through separation from those that are still working through their stuff, so that way it doesn't stay in that same distorted space. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. And what I just sorry, cutting in there, what I just wanted to say is that I love the way you say, and I think it's a nice way when you say people drop off your frequency, and it is absolutely right. And when we have these people getting taken out of our lives, and we know it's for the best, and that is what happens. Some move faster than others in frequency, and when it's your time to really rise and move through that, and others are not going to grow with you, well, they have to go. Otherwise it's because it gets you to a point. It's all about, like we talked about, your sacred space, your sacred union, your sacred space of that union, holding that space, about just the love. Basically, it's all about coming back to the love, like you're saying. And you are not honoring your own self and your own soul if you have other people coming in and out trying to tell you what to do, or trying to send you off path. I'm not saying they deliberately do it, but they're probably not even conscious of doing it, but through their fears they're all doing the same things. So, and we've talked about this, how incredibly sacred it is, but I feel that, and correct me if you think that this is not the case, but I feel for me that it's not until the divine feminine or the divine masculine really reach that inner depth of self-love and honor of themselves before they can really see the bigger picture of the honor of their sacred love
and the path itself. Exactly.
And the path itself. Yeah.
And the thing about it is, what's happening now is that everything that we have acquired or been through has been on the surface. And now I'm being told that we're being taken deeper. And that means that, it's like, how deep is your love? How deep do you take that self-love? That I know people put it out there. Oh, make sure you take your seesaw baths, which I highly recommend, to keep yourself grounded as you're transmuting, energies. And this is all about alchemy here. And, you pamper yourself, but also how much do you keep setting your boundaries? How much do you keep remembering to be mindful of people you talk to, and it's taking away your life force, and what's sucking you, with this person needs you, this needs to get done. Even if there's things that you need to get done, that also takes away from your life force. You know what I mean? And it's about balancing, because if you ask yourself and say, when people say, well, I'm ready to be with the love of my life and I want to be, but then I have to ask them, what are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for yourself in terms of self-love and how you feel about love? Because a lot of times people don't realize they're rejecting it because they're not really ready, and because they're placing conditions on it, and they're always focused on what the other person can do to make them feel happy. You see what I'm saying? And those who are on the path where you have a connection, okay, like a true divine spiritual love connection, it is very imperative to pay attention to the energy itself more than the physical person, That's the reason why spirit brings dreams, for you to pay attention to what's being shown, what is a shared energy between you and that person. So when I hear people talk about, you know, yes, we pay attention to the fact that this is about self-love. But if you know you're having dreams and things that are coming to you that's in relation to that person, that means that it's something shared between you and them, where you may have switched places, where there's something you're experiencing and they're experiencing it, but they're experiencing it differently. Or you could have switched lifetimes and so on. So when you feel you can't figure it out, is keep going deep within. Keep going deep within. Where is it coming from? Where is this pain related to the feminine aspect of myself, or is it in relation to the masculine aspect of myself? Even if it's something that you experience with a grandfather or a father figure, you know, or any males in your life, especially those who, you know, in male bodies. And if there's something that has affected you and you're in the divine feminine body, is there something showing up as far as healing and forgiveness? And then those who are in the male body or you're in the masculine energy, if there's something that triggers you when it comes to any females that you also have had a relationship, whether it's a mother, you know, a mother that's always controlling you, or a female that's always manipulating and controlling you. And if it's something that deters you or feels like there's a fear you have surrounding your divine feminine, it's because that's the part for you to heal. And that's why people like to pay attention to what the person's saying and doing physically, which, yes, it's okay, but also pay attention to the energy that's showing up through that person or anyone that you're having any type of relationship with. And those are the keys to your healing. Those are the keys to you releasing so much that you carry within you, so that way you make room for that true self-love. See?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And we're talking also about this is what I find on the journey, on the path, is that a lot of people teach to detach from your beloved, the one you're connected to.
That they what? Say that word again.
They say to detach from your beloved.
Yes.
Yeah, or the one you're connected to. And I see that over the years that what happens is it throws the well, let's say divine feminine, because probably, you know, most of generalizing, it's mostly divine feminines, I would say, that are, you know, being told this, let's put it that way. And what I found is it never ever made sense to me, because I always looked at that I was him and he was me. So you cannot detach from the other person, because you then are detaching from your own soul inside, because you are soul connected. So I feel it should be explained and taught in a different way to help the divine feminine or masculine out there that are listening. So remember, we talked about this, and it's about, so I think, you know, I feel the reason people say detach from that person, you know, is to help draw the person back to themselves, which is right, back into yourself, you know, into your self-love, because everything is a mirror. Exactly what you just said, Sharon. It is the mirror. And people talk about the mirror, but they actually don't really pay attention to it, because when they're going on about what their other one is doing, that's a reflection of really what's going on with them. Like, if they're not together, there is reasons on both sides. So it does, yes, you do have to go back into yourself, but it's kind of like we were saying, it's sort of this circle, though. You go back into yourself and get to that depth of self-love, but you can't detach, because then you're detaching from yourself.
But then it's because what I feel it is the best way to word it is that you're in an awareness of your path, that you have someone that you're connected to. And believe it or not, I've had some those who are in like they carry the masculine energy and they're holding on tight to their feminine counterpart that's not wanting to deal with them. Because anytime your masculine or feminine counterpart, you know, like doesn't want anything to do with you or anything like that, because there's something more to come back into your self-healing. And when I say that, I'm talking about the ones that you keep contacting them and calling them and they're not responding, or they're, you know, what you call ignoring. That's because there's something coming back within you to pay attention to that part of yourself that you feel is deficient or missing, that you're looking for that person to fill that gap for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a need, or yeah, yes, yeah. So that's what we're saying. It's about letting go of that, of the yes. So when we talk about detaching, it's about letting go of the need, letting go of that person filling your voids, filling your cup. You know, like coming from fears, any of that. So yes, that's the part of going within and working exactly, and we have to remove ourselves from those needs and those fears and those, you know, whatever it is making us still seek outside of ourselves with this person.
Yes.
So it is all about seeking from the inside out. So if you, as you said, if you have an awareness of that, then you know that you have to go in to connect further with your own soul. And that's when you will feel them and you do find them. But it's about staying, as you say, in your own lane, staying in your own energy.
Your own energy.
It's about really just coming into that balance within yourself, because when we fill ourselves up with that love first, then we can overflow, you know, and be in that energy with others. But if we are going to you know, if we're seeking from outside of ourselves all the time, then sorry about that interruption. What was I saying?
You said that if you're seeking validation from outside.
Yes, yeah. So it's about going within, and then in getting to those deeper levels, really, truly, of self-love, and that's it. Because if you lack worthiness, they'll lack worthiness.
Yes.
You know, if you, whatever, that's just an example, but everything you lack within you, they will lack within them. And often, I know with myself as an experience, I have said, oh, you know, I don't lack this, or I don't, you know, I don't come from this mindset, or I don't have this limiting belief, or, you know, I don't fear this, or I don't, and to a great level we don't. But if you've still got threads in there that are connecting that, if you've still got, so, you know, what I find when I teach self-love, for example, women will say, oh, I love myself, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then they'll look in the mirror and they'll hate the way they look, or they'll complain and judge about their weight or their wrinkles or their whatever. Self-love, it's your sacred self, your sacred vessel, your divine sacred vessel and light. And it's about loving that infinitely and integrate every part of that with you.
And it also means that you continue to empower yourself, because if you're not even able to be in the same space with your divine masculine or feminine, and you feel like you're less of a person, or you feel like that there's some sort of control that they have over you, it is a little bit more or could be a little bit more challenging for you. And the reason why sometimes we can't come into that same space with that person. So, you know, and I say again that usually the people that you're in contact with, they represent a version of your twin soul. So you're able to see what is it that I am shifting or working through as I'm coming back to myself, because your twin is the biggest mirror. But guess what? Other people that you're in contact with, they're your mirrors too. So if you keep looking only as what is happening with your twin, you going to keep missing the other things that are showing up in your space to what you are healing and having to look at. So, and I know for a fact, based on my own experiences, that however I feel and whatever I am doing and being, it is reflecting back to me. Even if I'm not in any physical contact with my twin, and the dreams and then the connection, the feeling that I have in my soul, because it's really about connecting to your soul, because your soul is always speaking to you. Your soul is always relaying something for you to notice about yourself. And, you know, there was something I was trying to remember and I didn't want to forget. And so I remembered it now, that the Capricorn energy is about what's grounding on earth. And the North Node is in Cancer. And we're being taken, which I said before, deeper into connecting with our feelings and what is happening in the spiritual energy, what's happening in the cosmos, what's happening in the unseen aspect of, the world, okay, and how we're relating to each other. And interesting, I was listening to one of the astrologers, the Leo King, and he was talking about that there was no element of any planets in any air sign. All the elements is based on water and earth. Because why? Because it's about us connecting to our feelings. And even if you try to want to go logic in your head about it, you're just going to end up bursting into tears, bursting in. I mean, I was just crying and crying. And it's like I just heard one little word and then I started crying and crying. And all of these elements is how we're connecting back to ourselves. And why this is more than just about the other person. And even while I was purging, I know my twin was purging. I felt it. I felt the pain of how he was feeling with what happened with us in the beginning of time. And I heard the feelings. I heard it in my soul. It can't be explained in words because it's not in words. It's not in the mind. You see?
Yeah.
And as we are connecting, and it's like a reconnect and a reset of how we are interacting with one another, that we're feeling more into what is going on with each other and not just what you see, not just what you see. You see, because heaven is now on earth. Heaven is never went anywhere. It's just that now that the veil is thinner, each time we having all of these energies with the moon cycles, the eclipses, the equinox, all of that is facilitating how much more things are releasing, and the veil is just thinner and thinner because we are embodying everything that the soul has desired. And when you think of yourself as someone else who's out there that's sharing that same soul energetic frequency as you, whatever you're experiencing, they're experiencing it too, but it may not be exactly the same, but it's still the same, but it's not showing up the same way how you're experiencing it, because the individuals are collecting data on two different ends, and it's going back to the Godhead. And some of that information may go to the Akashic records, and some might remain because the soul is desiring to identify and know itself through the energies that are shared between both divine masculine and divine feminine. So I wanted to add that in there so people really realize this is more than just I'm having something or I desire something romantic. This is about where we are as souls more than just physical human beings. And that's what's key to remember over and over and over again. What is my soul desiring? What is my soul playing out now as a version of myself and all the other selves of me that are now templating on earth in a greater way, because we're stepping more into that avatar self. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it. I was just going to say, and we've talked about this too, when you do reach those higher levels of consciousness, when you're talking about crying or things triggering and coming up, you find that when you do reach those higher levels, that it just comes in and bang, it's out. So you don't have a lot of that deep purging for years like we had. When you get further along on your path and you really do, you've integrated those higher levels of yourself and you do work from your higher self. And I'm not saying ego doesn't pop in and out, but you have that awareness of it, so you don't follow the ego. You don't, like, the ego comes in, you look at it, you throw it out. Obviously, if there is a trigger or if there is something there then that you haven't healed, you go to heal that. But when we're at this higher consciousness level, you find that it comes in, you have the awareness, and it can go within an hour. It can go within a half an hour. It might go in 3 hours.
Yes, because it's passing through. It's passing through. And I usually say it lasts from 24 to 48 hours. And unfortunately, something else may come up again within, because we just don't know what to expect anymore. It's like really riding the waves. And it's a matter of just moving through the waves and not resist the waves, because if you resist it, it's going to keep coming through from someone else or something else. And even if you think something's crazy, 9 times out of 10, it's not crazy. It's just something that is a part of your path, and it's to step out of what other people may say or how somebody else might feel, because it is your individual path.
And practicing non-resistant awareness is such a key element, because sometimes we're resisting when we don't even know we're resisting. And so people might say, oh, how do I have the awareness? Well, that's the growth as well. But if you, like, you know, you said, Sharon, pay attention, be open and not closed. You know, if you feel that contraction, if you feel that heaviness, if you feel that denseness, that dense energy, then you're not, that's an ego. That's ego. You know, everything, if it's a fear, a judgment, self-judgment, it's coming from ego. It's coming from those lower vibrational frequencies. And so if you are coming from your heart and your soul, you won't be contracted. You'll be open. And you also will be opening to receiving. So whether we're talking about being open to receive the love, the union, our divine other, whatever it is we're open to, you also have to be open to doing the work, open to whatever is shown to us for healing. Let's go head on in and do that and heal that. Don't keep squashing the lid down and not healing it, because otherwise then the divine, or it's just going to come from all different ways. I talk about this in my book. The universe will call you so many times, and if you don't pick up the phone, it's going to keep calling until, you know, until it does. And as I use the term in my book, not so much the phone, but I use the term of, you know, as I say, I knew through my path, even as a teenager, that when we resist and we don't go by what we're being told, then, you know, it becomes, excuse my expression, a shit show. It just doesn't go well.
You did use those words. You did use those.
It doesn't go well. It did use those words. It just doesn't go well.
Let's not forget to talk about when we said how, you know, another thing that you go through during this ascension is you be feeling all bubbly and high and wonderful. And then all of a sudden, these little energies creeping. It reminds me of the Matrix with the Sentinels. You know, you'd be all happy and everything, and the Sentinels just come in, and it's like your soul is taking you to another level. With how much are you going to keep trusting your path, and you won't compromise your path because you know, somebody might come along and say something, or they bring up something, and it's that lower vibrational energy again, because it's like going through a rite. I call it the rites of passage. That's what Spirit showed me. It's like going through the rites of passage.
No, that's exactly right. And we kind of think, oh, you know, people just want to come in and shit all over it, but in a sense, it's not happening, as they say, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And I know some people get triggered when we say that, but it really is, because if it still bothers you, or if if that person or thing that's coming in to take you, if it takes you out of your energy space, you have not set your own personal boundaries, whatever the circumstances are, then this is taking you and pushing you to the limits to do that, until you'll then just go, oh my God, you know. What's going on here?
Like it pushes you like deeper into your own self-love, you know. It's like I said to this young man, he's a divine masculine, and you know, he was feeling so much pain and so much stuff, and he felt like as if everything was falling apart in his world, which is what's really happening in the divine masculine's space. They're going through a lot of deep heaviness and, you know, pain and things, and it's all about letting go, and also letting go of the ego and whatever you want to have control over, because divine intervention and divine will is superseding anything else right now. It's like everything is on track to the timing of what is to happen, no matter what choice you make. So they're not saying you don't that you don't have a choice with anything. You do, but no matter what, it's still preordained to whatever and however things are going to keep unfolding. And so it is much easier to let go of the resistance that you may have to where you're being led on your path, because it'll cause more pain. It'll cause more pain.
That's right. It is. And just recapping on that, with the divine will that is in place now over free will, to become divine free will. And this is the messages I've been getting for a long time now. And what we mean by that is that, you know, we are here now to step up into our divine contracts that we came for.
Yep.
And no matter what they are, whether you're on a path with another, you know, your divine one, whether you're on a path on your own, like as a light worker or way show, whatever it is,
Yes.
Particularly how it was shown to me from a view, an aerial view of the matrix, and then I was shown how the ones that literally, that if you want to call the leaders or whatever, how we were sort of really reached it and plucked out. So the divine masculine and feminines were being plucked out and helped, because there are many that need to be on their path solidly now, in terms of helping others in a great way with ascension. And we're talking about a global, you know, this is helping global humanity, global level. We're not talking about helping your family and friends within the vicinity of where you circulate. We're talking about at a global level, and there is quite a few that, you know, are helping ascension within on a global level, obviously, like a collective ascension. So they showed me that there's a lot of divine intervention, and what will happen is, if you still make a choice to go off path, to not fulfill that path, then you're, as from a free will choice, then the divine, this is what's happening, the divine will pluck people out of your life. They will put things in your way. They will do things to have you choose from your divine free will, not from your programmed, indoctrinated free will. Because when we talk about free will, everyone loves to talk about free will and how, you know, we have to have free will, but that free will is coming, as they showed me many months ago. That free will that we make choices from comes from a very programmed, infected.
Yes, it is infected. That's exactly what it is. It's like an infection.
It is. Yeah. And so when we make these free will choices, we're not making them from our heart and soul and who we are as a divine being. We're making them from this conditioned programming of like we are a robotic state and just following along, you know, because we're so heavily infected and conditioned with all the different, I won't get into that, but you know what I mean, with all the different programming.
Well, another thing, as you were talking about the robots and stuff like that, because what was shown to me, which I wrote in the book that I'm doing, is that the light quotance on Earth is increasing. Okay, let's just face it. It's daily. It's almost like it's nonstop, and a lot of us are tired, and it's because of all the density that has to keep on leaving. Okay, through our bodies, and some souls that are under specific contract are going to be leaving the Earth anyway. So either way, whatever energy that they're carrying, whether it's low density or, you know, in most cases it will be, I would say, low density or whatever. And in some cases it might be fear. Whatever element of stuff that they're carrying in their DNA is still going to have to be transmuted out anyway, because that's the reason why it feels like there's so much that's happening with our bodies and all that stuff, because all that stuff has to be shifting and shifting and shifting out, because of the fact that it's almost like reaching to a certain almost like when you think of the radio and you have certain megahertz and bandwidth. Well, that's exactly how they show it to me with what's happening. So no matter what, it is predestined for a certain number of twin souls to come into a physical union space, because they hold specific codes together. And these specific codes that they hold together, what I saw last night that I didn't get to share with you is that they're gonna come together to transmute out certain stuff that's still lingering on Earth, and that's gonna allow some other unions that come in. They're showing it to me like more towards the end of the year, because as more of these physical unions are coming into play, and this is not for everyone. These are the ones I feel they told me that have been on the path for a very, very long time, and you will know because you're receiving messages coming from the divine, and you will feel it. It's not where you're doubting. It's not where you're like just not connecting to this at all. It's like you're connecting to this, you're feeling it, you're knowing it, and you're getting the visions that go with it as far as what's happening here. And so as we reach to a certain stage, there are certain souls that are just going to be exiting, and then there's souls that are coming in. There's a certain number of souls that are coming in that are they're not coming in as yet, because the earth has to reach to a certain level by the time they are coming in, because that's why they show me there's certain pregnancies and conceptions and stuff that are coming in. And this is where the new Christed souls are coming in for more light that is coming to earth. And in the meantime, everything that's going on with the government and education, everything to do with the females and the males and all these movements, that's all that density that's leaving, and it's happening. Some may find themselves having to leave from one location to the next, and that's because you're walking with specific frequency in your body as you're transmuting, and then you might be led to go to another area, because we're anchoring grids in certain parts of the earth. There's times when I found myself, Kelly, where I'm there driving around, and I'm like, why am I driving? And it's not me, that's my higher self, because my body is carrying certain frequency in certain areas, and I'm just going in freaking circles everywhere.
Yeah,
I know that's what it is. Yeah.
I do the same thing, and I'm like, something just takes over, and I'm like, why am I over here, or why am I doing that, or what? Exactly. Yeah, I do love what you're saying about, because I've been getting that too, about the certain, you say it well too, about the certain
I try my best
together, because it all comes back to, it's a way bigger picture than than the individual, and it's really, I know we have to go through stages of, our own growth and understanding this, but it's really, how can I say it? It blows me away every day how beautifully sacred this is, and this journey is. It's just incredible. It is just incredible how, and everything, and we've talked about this, the syncs, and it just all works out on a daily basis. Incredible how everything's synced.
Yes.
It's when you really pay attention, and you have the faith and the trust to do so, and to follow your guidance and follow what you get. I mean, magical things start to happen. Everything just opens up. And if you are opening to receive, which is one thing I've had to really work at, because when you've lived a life,
that's feminine energy, to be open to receive. And this is where we're being taken to be open to receive, and more open to the changes as well.
Exactly. I think it's like, particularly if you've been a people pleaser your whole life, like I was. People pleasers are terrible at receiving, because we've given our whole life. So if you are listening to this and you resonate with this, and I had to do a lot of work in opening to receive, and you think, okay, I'm open to receive, but as things happen in your daily life, and maybe other triggers that come up that you've worked on, and things you're clearing and stuff, you don't even sometimes realize that you can shut down that to receive. So you just have to be mindful to be open to receive, because it's receiving everything, because it's receiving, not just receiving your divine one, it's receiving that love, which is your soul, which is in you, which is receiving who you really are as a divine light being.
Yes.
Okay. It's about switching it around and getting to that consciousness of like, well, trusting and knowing and living from that, your higher divine light being self, having the experience in a physical body.
Yes.
Instead of the other way around, instead of going, oh, well, I'm in this physical body, I'll try and connect to my soul, or I'll try and connect to my higher ones, I'll try, it's about the other way around. So it's about, working on yourself and getting to that consciousness level where you can come from that place, as we've discussed. Please put some input in if you want to say something else
No,
about that?
I'm agreeing with you because the other thing too that I kept thinking of when we were talking about the levels and the depths of where we reach when it comes to this journey, when you know, I was referring to the Matrix in my last Facebook Live that I did, where, you know, Neo, he knew of the path. He knew he was the one because he was told, but he wasn't feeling into it yet. And so when he finally did realize it, now is the time when he was told that by Morpheus said, now it's a matter of walking the path, because you can know the path and then you walk the path. And when you walk the path, now it's a matter of accepting the path, because then the fear can creep in.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Oh, this is out of the norm. Oh, what is my family going to think? Or what is my friends going to think? You know, it's like everything is going to keep falling off. I'm telling you, this twin soul path, you're going to lose a lot of places, people, friendships, you know, even people who are spiritual, they just whoops out the door.
Yep.
That's it. How much are you going to keep honoring you? How much are you going to keep embodying your true avatar self, that you're not in any fear of it? And as you accept it and you're surrendering to it, then guess what? You're going through more layers of surrender, because even sometimes, you know, where you be like, yeah, I know I'm going to do this. And all of a sudden spirit brings something your way, like, oh shit, here we go again. Something new that I have to do different. And it can be quite scary because you're putting yourself out there, but you're not doing it for anyone. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for you. That's what it's all about. It's this whole everything is all about you. It's all about you. And it's how you're embodying that individuation of yourself, in knowing that someone else is also embodying their own individual self. And I honor you for your path and the individual who you are, as you accept me with my individual who I am.
Yeah. And until, as individuals, we can step up and be absolutely 100% or 1000% dedicated to our path, which is dedicated to our soul path, and contracted, you know, whatever it is we came for, until, but it's also bigger than that. People talk about whatever we came for. It's also about honoring you and honoring your soul as the light being it is.
Yes.
So we talk about this, how at the end of the day, we're here for love. It's not about, you know, running out and, you know, serving people everywhere and doing it. We're here to bring the love.
Yeah. And most people are afraid of it.
That's right. And the love is from our soul. So it's kind of like, well, are you dedicated to bringing the love? Are you dedicated to showing up in this physical vessel that we're in as the divine love, pure love being, light being that we are? Or are we going to allow fear and judgments and other people's control and manipulation and all of that stand in the way and say, you're not this, or you're not that, or you're not here for this, or, you know, whatever it is. And I think this is one thing I really had to learn on my journey, because every time I got that step closer to honoring who I am as a soul, something else would happen. And it would pick me off again. But I'm not blaming the person or the other. That's a test to show me I have to go deeper. You know, that's it. So this is, people will come into your life as a test for source to say, well, are you ready yet? Are you ready to really own who you are as a soul? Not just, like you said, not just say you are. It's about,
or even so, do you really know who you are? Do you really know who you are? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I refer to it as the I am and the I am not. The more you declare who you are, is the more the I am not shows up. And so you can't know who you are unless you are in face of the contrast. I call it the contrast. I don't call it negativity. I don't call it narcissistic. You know, be mindful, because we've been all of everything throughout lifetimes and millenniums. You know what I'm saying? And the true essence of everything is that we incarnated on earth. We all had sat around a round table and we picked out our parents and our children and people and every situation to what we agreed to come and to transmute out, because we're rewinding back to the true state of love. And for us to know love, we went through all these incarnations of what love is not. And so we are transmuting out everything to what love is not, to come back to true love. And now that true love is showing up, the way that people have not been used to. They didn't know this exists, where you can love someone that there's an age difference, or you can love someone because there's a color difference, or nothing to do with the religion or the culture, or whether they like to sing or not dance, or whatever the case, or children. It doesn't matter. Do you feel love? Are you in an awareness of love showing up, or are you going to look at it and negate it because it doesn't look the way that you were taught for how it's supposed to be? That even if you're married and you're in that relationship because of children, and you know that you're sleeping in 2 separate rooms, you don't love each other anymore, or I should say you're not in love, more than in love with each other, right? And because you are afraid because you can't pay the bills because you don't have a job, right? Then you have to ask yourself, what service are you doing to yourself with that? You're doing yourself a disservice. You're not honoring yourself. You're accepting less for yourself, you see? And this is why the divine is going to keep having to question yourself on the choices that you're making now. That if you know, you feel in your heart it's time to leave the relationships that are not serving you, it is time to leave. Which it could even be someone you do business with. It could be even at your workplace. If you know that you're being dishonored and disrespected, time to go. And it's about trusting your heart and taking the steps of what that inner child in you has always believed in, him and herself, to move forward, because this is a part of your sacred union. Your sacred union is not about that physical person. It's about you two and everything to do with you and what's the highest and best for you in every single way. Every single way.
That's right. Exactly. And you do have to look at all that, because whatever way it shows up, you just have to ask the question, is this empowering me or
yes. And how does it make you feel? It's trusting your feelings. If something makes you feel bad, time to get out of Dodge. If you feel good about it, usually when I don't know what decision to make, firstly, I think about, well, how does it make me feel? And then I'm like, okay, if it was presented to me, there must be a reason, because things don't just come our way just for the heck of it. There is always something behind it in some way. And if you take it with some humor, it does you a lot good if you have some humor behind it and don't take it all so serious and all tight inside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The lighter you can feel with what you're experiencing and the more joy you can feel with it, the easier it is for you to accept how it is presenting itself to you and how you get able to move through it. You know what I mean? Exactly. Because even this journey itself is being in a childlike state. Joy.
Well, it is, because you're right. Because when you can go back to that childlike state, unconditional love, innocence, everything of yourself, and not have that self-judgment, not have fear of things, all these programmed things that have come in on top of us as we've been a little child growing up. When you don't have that, when you take all that away, you can be in that pure essence of the love. That pure love.
And it's like being just carefree, and that's being the pure essence of love, because it's like there's nothing else that's there but just that, because that's why the saying is love is all there is. Because when I had that experience of when my soul left out of my body and I saw the stars and I felt the stars, and I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. I said, oh my God, all the stars is us. This is all us. And I felt it. Like, this is all us. We are all the stars. And I felt all this wonderful love of God that was just shining within me. And my soul just came right back in my body. And I was like, what a wonderful feeling. And I didn't want to go back into my body. I wanted to get out of Dodge. But I knew that I had to come here because I had to be able to share this grand feeling of what it's like to experience. And this is what we're doing. We're going to experience more and more of this blissful energy. And you know what it's like when you feel that blissful energy and you're feeling it from head to toe. And nowadays when you feel it, it's almost like you're walking around on tippy toes, like, oh God, how long is this going to last? How long is it? Because then the little energies come in like, oh, I'm going to fuck up your day today. We're going to make you feel bad. It's going to be something to do with money or something to do with somebody else or, or some control here, that's it. And we're still going to keep filtering through it. And the reason why in, in the book, when I, the book I'm doing, what I talk about is the more you allow yourself to be in an elevated state, meaning you're dancing, singing, laughing, joking. I mean, jokes, just, I mean, I love to give jokes. There's no way you're going to be in contact with me and you're not going to have a joke for the day. And what makes a difference when you're doing that? So, because it's doing something within at your cellular level. Okay. Laughing, dancing together. And I know sometimes you could feel like you're not in the mood when you're purging. I understand that. And I still put on the music a little bit, or I put on comedy, because when you're laughing, what it's doing is it's pushing it out. Okay. And what it does is that even as you continue to, because you're like, we're going through something, what we call like a convergence of your soul. And that means that people that you may be connected to your divine counterpart from, past lives or this life or whatever, that is showing up as the soul is converging and coming back into that centered space, into that void. And as it's coming into that void, what happens is you're going to feel as if like nothing's happening, or you're feeling like that heaviness and all that stuff. And this is what's happening as you're passing through another part of the self that's coming together. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it can be quite tricky, but in the meantime, while you're going through it, the more you are elevated within yourself, okay, then when you go through the elements of the sadness, or it starts to dissipate, though, the more you are able to, and this is what self-mastery is. It's like, how do you master through all these energies and everything you're feeling? Because it can almost feel like you're going out of your mind, but you're not. It's just because your soul is going through the shifts of what it's releasing from cellular memory, from billions of years ago, and lifetime after lifetime. That's a lot of stuff. And then you're also working through your emotional body, the things that you're holding in the emotional state while you're having to purge. So if you're crying, allow yourself to cry. Let it flow. Let that water flow through, because that's what's creating that purification of your soul and purification of all the things that you've experienced. So that way now you're letting the light come in without anything, I don't want to use the word interfering, but it just helps for things to be lighter within your soul, because that's what you're heading to, being lighter in the body. The density of your body is eventually not going to exist for those who choose to stay, of course, and we're heading into that crystalline structure. And the crystalline structure means that you're having to transmute out all of this energy. And so that's why it's important to, if you're near the water, go to the beach, take the sea salt baths, dance, sing, laugh, all of that. You know what I even say is even greater? Go around children. Go around children.
Yes. Yeah.
Go around children. And it takes the mind off of, this, because even those who have children, I have children, and it's not easy going through this. But you know what? I've made it. I continue to make it. I made it. I've made it. I keep going through the passage. I keep moving through it. And after a while, it just starts to lessen. And that's where part I was coming to, the convergence of the soul, because it just keeps coming in. Then you go through another layer and you're going up again, and then it's coming in and it's coming in. And it's almost like they show it to me when you think of your solar plexus, right in your belly button, and you have a smaller circle, and that smaller circle is expanding into a bigger circle. So this is how much your soul is expanding with what you're shifting through, with everything that you've experienced in the past lives and this life, because it's all happening now. It's not, because it was 20,000 years ago, because 99.9, trust me on this, 99.9%, everything that you've experienced in this lifetime, you played it out already in the other lifetimes. You're replaying the story.
Yeah.
The same story. That same story. And that's why I've been hearing a lot of people saying they're having so much deja vu. It's like, didn't I do that already? Didn't I? And it's like all those timelines are just continuously collapsing, and you're converging. Do you see how much stuff is going on all at once? I call it being in the washing machine.
Yes,
it's like being in a washing machine, and it's like you're going through a cycle, and it's spinning again, then it's starting again. That's what it's like.
And at the moment, I think the best advice I could offer while people are going through this is to a couple of things. First of all, get out of your mind so you can actually find out who you are. So getting out of your mind to discover who you truly are. And secondly, don't listen to others.
No.
This has to be you. It's time to just trust and what you get and go within. And even those that are not tapped in fully yet to their clairs or to the gifts they have, you can still know. In your intuition, inside what feels right, what feels contracted, what feels open, what feels right when someone says something.
Yes.
It's really time to stop worrying about what other people say, stop
Yes.
listening to other people, stop worrying, stop trying to seek approval,
Validation or
validation. Yeah. And then honestly, until you stop all of that, you really can't get to those. You won't grow. You won't grow in consciousness. You won't grow in yourself. Go deeper within yourself with your self-love. You really have to kick all of that out.
mm-hmm.
Do.
That's
And
so correct. That is so true.
yeah.
And it just really, to me, I call it like regurgitating, the same thing over and over again. And after a while, you will feel and say, this is not, working well for me anymore, which will happen. There are times when you're going to find yourself seeking information, which is natural to do that because this path in and of itself is so unique that I say that only those who are also on this type of path would truly understand. So if you're seeking any, sessions or readings from someone, please, if you're on the twin soul path, especially if you're on the twin soul path, seek someone who's also on the path that can guide you to help you to navigate, because the more you're in an awareness of this, and that if you get this as a reading from someone else, they will not, first of all, they're going to tell you, oh, no, that person's not for you. Oh, no. Because they don't understand that it has to do with what's happening in an energy. And because this is so different, what we are being, I would rather say being than doing, has not been ever done before. So it is different. You're not going to find all of this stuff in books and all these other things. Everything that's coming is new information, new data. Everything's coming in new. So other stuff might have given you like a little heads up. And yes, the divine has now been just putting it out there with more than one person for say the same thing, that it is time to connect to your higher self that's connected to source energy. You see? Otherwise, you continue to miss the mark. And this year is the year of not missing the mark anymore, because we have 5 eclipses this year. 5 eclipses. Okay. And 2020, we're going to have 6 eclipses. That doesn't count the full moon and the new moon. And I'm affected every single one of them. Okay. But I don't go into fear. I just look at it that it's like thinking of yourself as being pregnant with yourself, and you're giving birth to yourself over and over and over again, and how much you're transmuting out so much stuff, you see? And imagine what it's going to be like when you start seeing your body go through these changes, and you start to see the shine on your skin, because you're becoming crystalline. I even had looked back at my pictures from 6 years ago. I don't look the same. My skin is different. Everything becomes different, and it's a constant transformation you're going through. It's a great soul evolution, and this is what it means to have the light shine through you, because it's going to show. It's going to show. But to get to this place where you're constantly with this type of evolvement, you have to keep letting go and letting go. And even if you think you knew something else that you knew, even if it was 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden you're letting you say, but wait a minute, but that's not what. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And stay out of those. Oh, I can hear myself. Stay out of those thoughts of, because really be mindful of every thought is our creation.
Yes.
So, and it's not our conscious thought where we go, oh, that doesn't bother me, or I'm not going to think of that, or I'm being positive, or whatever it is. It is the thought behind the thought.
Yes.
So
the sponsoring thought. Neil Donald Wall says that's the sponsoring thought.
The sponsoring thought. There you go. So it's when we say, oh, I'm not scared of that. I'm not afraid of that. I don't have that fear. We can say that and think that from a conscious level, but the subconscious, that thought behind the thought behind the thought, is telling us a whole different story. And that's the one that manifests. That's the one that we're creating from.
Yes.
So that's the importance of, like you're saying, letting go, letting go, letting go,
Mm.
because we constantly keep finding, and it's like, say it's like a table. We can go and do the work and we can knock out all the legs, but there might be one left that we haven't seen,
Yes.
that we're not aware of. And if there's one left, that means there's still more work to do with that in terms of releasing, surrendering, and letting that go.
Mm-hmm.
Letting that shit go.
Yeah.
And just really surrendering that, not giving up, letting go. It's a difference. And that's the thing. And like you said, you might find you do it over and over again.
And it's
And
still
what
going to keep coming because there's layers to the
this
surrender.
is, yeah,
Layers
that's
and
right.
layers and layers. And you might find yourself sometimes feel like you're kicking and screaming and feeling angry and it's okay. It's a part of the
Yeah,
process. There's times when you may feel like you just don't want to do this anymore. You might feel suicidal. Really, you
yeah,
might feel
yeah,
suicidal, but I know that the angels and source is always going to send someone your way to keep you grounded and centered
yeah,
and keep reminding you of why you're here, because we chose to incarnate and embody these energies so we can transmute them out. And the beautiful thing is that we're not doing it alone. There are others that are also, and we're all it's all in unison. I want you to understand, it's not about you doing it alone, and it's not just about your path only. And I'm not saying that you're to go save anyone and rescue anyone. All I'm saying is that you are keeping your path very sacred, where you're honoring your time, you're honoring your voice, you're honoring who you are, you're embracing who you are, you're walking it because you know it, and you know it because you're walking it, and you're speaking your truth. Okay, that means that if you know something is not of integrity, regardless of whether it's a Christian, a spiritual person, twin flame person, I don't give a rat's ass who they are. If you know there's something, to speak up and talk about it, because otherwise it'll just keep recycling again. And this is
yeah,
not what we're here for. We're here to end that, because we're
yeah,
recreating a new earth. So those energies are finally leaving once and for all. And in some cases, there's some energies we're
yeah,
integrating, but in this case, that's it. That's it.
yeah,
See? And that's imperative to to remember that, especially with speaking your truth. And you know what I say too is that the moment you're in fear of something, you feel that you should be doing, or on your path, that means you're on the right track. That means you are on the right track. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah, so it is quite a there's so much we can talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, there is.
There is so much we can talk about it, but one thing I can say though is that I'm looking forward to 2020 coming into, of course, because I know that there's a lot of things that are going to continue to break down from the visions that I keep getting, and what's
Mm.
coming through, with the units, because the way they showed it to me is that specific twins that are coming into physical union, um, there's going to be a specific time, which they didn't tell me the date and the time, but they told me that a date is coming where it's going to be like a representation of Hyros Gamos. And that Hyros Gamos means that certain energies are going to be templating even on a different frequency with these twins that are going to be in that Hyros Gamma stage at the same time. And it's almost like a nuclear blast. That's what they showed it to me, like something just blasting out like a nuclear blast. And what that means is that there are more things that are going to be breaking down on Earth, and it would make so much sense, because as we're heading into 2020, especially by the month of February, which is the date, the month I was born, which is no coincidence because I'm an Aquarius, the new age of Aquarius is starting to come in even, stronger. And I believe, like I said, there's 6 eclipses. Yeah.
Mm.
So that means that there's going to be like a higher order of, the things that we've been waiting on to physically change, that it will actually be implemented by that time, because we're moving through stages of the change where it could be things that are spoken about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And each
Yeah.
person, regardless of what path they're on, is still playing a part in what is awakening, whether they're a celebrity or not. There are some twin souls who are celebrities. So everything is just going to keep coming out and being exposed in
Yeah.
the open. And the key again
Yeah.
is stepping onto that path, because we're doing this for ourselves and for Gaia, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I was going to say something there and it just slipped my mind. I can't remember what I was going to say. I was just so caught up in what you were saying that,
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember as much as
oh,
about.
I know what it was about when you were discussing there's it is divine timing for different stages for everything, because like you were saying the other day with the amount of so the amount with the frequencies, how many of the collective are awakening at the one time and things like that, because otherwise it's really out of balance. You were talking about that,
Yes,
and you
it
were
does.
saying, and
Mhm.
it helped me understand, which I sort of knew what you were saying, but I didn't see it from the way of when my book was being released, because it was meant to be released last year.
Mhm.
That was the original release date, and then and when I look back now, what I thought was things getting in the way was actually because the divine was orchestrating it that way, so that it was to come out now.
Yes.
Because what I was shown when I was told, like at the start when I talked about how I was told about writing this book, etc., is that I was also shown how the incredible impact it's going to have on the world, and how it is going to awaken. It's a phenomenon. It's going to awaken people. The everyday person that is, still not really aware or awake. It's going to awaken on a grand scale, like a huge amount of the collective.
Mhm.
So with that happening as well, and other things going on with the energies, if we have mass awakenings,
Well,
it
that's what's
does.
happening now, is that we're having more mass awakenings taking place now. And your book is
Yes.
coming out as if it's the first book to facilitate those who are in need of something like a guidance. And it's almost like being taken
Yeah.
into a more sacred space than what's on the internet and what has been spoken before. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like whatever your path is with this, it's opening the doors to for those who are
Yes.
not only those who are awakening to this path, but also those that are on it but they're stuck. Okay. And you're
Yeah.
bringing it more in
Yeah.
the essence of love, because what you had mentioned, which I thought was so, I said, wow, oh boy, do I say the same thing, is that most people still keep leaving out the love part of this. What is the true essence of why we're here? It's not just, oh, we're just breaking down systems and, busting some chops here, but it's about love, because love permeates through all of this. Do you see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
almost like, in the beginning when they said the divine masculine turned away from the feminine, where they went out to wars and battles, because that's what has been so ingrained on earth, is that
Yeah.
every single problem is to fight and to kill and to maim and to hurt and to judge and criticize and maim and kill and all these things. That's what had been ingrained so much, instead of taking the time to feel and to hear and to tap into your intuition. You know what I mean? And so you think of a child that's hurt, the first thing the child wants to do when the child is hurt is go what? To the mother, right? To go to mother. And so the energy of mother is here, through especially the North Node in Cancer. And that's because the mother is the seat of the soul. And the seat of the soul is where we started from, through the waters. And it's through the waters that we're being taken back. That's why I had the dream. If anyone has not listened to that video that I had put out in my timeline, I was discussing the dream about the water and being taken back through Mother Gaia, through the water element, which is why we're being taken deeper to connecting to our feelings and our thoughts. Because you see, it's connecting to our feelings and our true feelings now, okay? The true feelings of your heart, and navigating from your heart to your solar plexus, because the solar plexus is the root to how you're connected to your partner, because that's what is the divine masculine represents what is in the physical sense, what is being acted out, what is being put in that physical sense, that's coming from the thought essence and the purity of the thought. You understand what I'm saying? Where it's not no longer corrupted. And so as it is coming through that connection to the heart, through the divine masculine, the divine masculine energy, and through the heart, okay, this is what brings it back together into that pure state, and how things are going to be now recreated on earth differently, not based on what you're doing, but what you're creating together. You see, because it's not where you're doing it by yourself. So I know we have self-love, but it still is going to take both together, because we're talking about embodying the four elements. I spoke about the four elements, the four quadrants, because we each hold masculine and feminine energies, okay? And think of an equation, because they tell me it's like mathematics. And you think about something to the square root, and you have your divine feminine that's split into the Eve and the Lilith, and then you have the Alpha and the Omega male, and then you have your sacred soul partner that also has that same element. So all the elements of what has to come into balance is what comes into play. We're integrating that yin yang and the shadow and the light of the self, right? And accepting, like really, really accepting all of it. All of it. See? And that's one of the keys to your journey with all of this. And trusting, really, really trusting. Because it's not just based on the physical things you see. It's more now what is coming through from spirit, because we're the spiritual beings that are bringing out things in the physical body. So this is how they show me spirit and physical coming together, because before we were operating from the patriarchal energy, where it's just physical, doing, and not feeling. And when you mentioned the robot, I wanted to include that in that. That's what being that robot is, where you don't feel anything. You're just like a mechanical person. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, in summing it all up, it is the self-love, but it's protecting your energy, really protecting your energy, and trust in yourself, and trust and faith, you know, but trusting, as you said, it's the energy. It's really understanding the energy. And I know on my journey, it was when I was trying to seek all the information from outside of me, and I really didn't have a greater understanding of energy. So I'm like, that's where I need to go. So I went and learned, and I experimented, and, you know, about with energy and how things happen, and so it's not about the physical of what's out there. It's feeling the energy and protecting the energy.
Well, it is about the physical, but it's a different type of physical. And that's why Cancer and Capricorn is kind of working together now, where we're manifesting things in the physical, but in a different and a new way.
Sorry, yeah. A higher, I guess, a higher vibrational.
Higher vibrational, yes.
Yeah, new earth physical way, not the old 3D.
Not the old 3D, yes. We're really manifesting from the heart space, and connecting, and, you know, making it work. Because I look at it just like, I compare this, spoke this in the book, so I wrote it, like a battery. You have the positive and the negative. And so when you have the divine masculine and divine feminine that is creating that third energy, and what comes forth in this manifestation, it becomes like a speed of light. So when Yeshua walked the planet, he was able to manifest things down to seconds, okay? So imagine if when he did that on his own with Mary Magdalene, and during that time, he was having to go through a lot more situations and stuff like that, and it wasn't as much light frequency as it is now. So basically, think about how many, you know, twin pairs out there, the true essence of the twin souls that are really working through this embodiment and coming together. You're talking about of a great magnitude. Why Spirit tell me I must keep on saying that this is more than your physical relationship with this person. Everything comes together, because it's about how we're bringing everything together, mind, body, and soul. It's everything that the soul desire to feel, to touch, and experience this in its grandest form. Heaven on earth, Hyros Gamos, you know, or Heroes Gamos, you know, however you pronounce it. It's all of it coming together, but not where it is incorporating in all of the corruption and the things that happened in the beginning of time, when we went into separation consciousness, and we went into separation and dissension in consciousness, which was meant to be. So it's not to blame anyone, and because that's why there's so much of releasing and forgiveness. You know, this forgiveness energy is what I've been feeling this whole week also.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
forgiving yourself, and you know, the divine masculine, you are forgiven, you know. I know what it's like when you which is also what's happening, is that when you leave out of your body, you go through a life review, and you review everything that's happened throughout your life and other lifetimes. It's almost like taking notes. And then you ask yourself, where was I in a space of love with this? And and you're going to feel how you feel, and you're going to feel how the other person feels. And this is what's also happening. So everyone is starting to feel what the other person's feeling. So that's why there's a saying, as you do this to yourself, you're doing it to another. Whatever you're doing to me, you're doing it to you. Whatever I'm doing to myself, I'm doing it to you. So as we're all going through this life review, we're reviewing together, collectively and individually, for those who are on that path with who they're connected to, and we can't run away from it. So that's why they're feeling now, because the veil is off for the divine masculine. So they're feeling everything to what has happened when it comes to divine feminine, and also how they've been for themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like looking at yourself and saying, oh my God, what have I done? What is this? And working through that healing and forgiveness for themselves and others. Okay, divine feminine, the same thing, you know. And knowing that you're worthy and you're deserving of this love. And it is such a grand love. It cannot be measured by anything whatsoever, because it is coming back into that pure state where there's nothing else left but that. And that's being like totally naked to it, you see?
Yeah.
And when you feel it, like really feel this love, and this love is how the divine is showing up through this person. So it's really, you're having a relationship with God. You're having a relationship with the divine. That's what this is all about.
Oh, got chills. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. It's when you allow yourself to feel it deep and not resist it.
Not resist it. Deep,
you
deep.
know, yeah, and just let it flow and trust and feel those emotions that are coming through.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, because even the emotion, you know, because the especially those in the male bodies were taught that they shouldn't cry, that you're being weak and all that stuff. But you know what? Crying is great for you, because that is how you're connecting to your soul. You're connecting to your soul and you're feeling again. And because it's new for many of you, okay, and this includes those who are in the female bodies, you know, that are very much, some of them are still resistant, carrying masculine energy. And it's about feeling again, that you can now let your guard down. You can now allow yourself to be vulnerable to this, because it is through the tears. Crying is good for you just as much as laughing. Okay, it's a part of the human cycle to cry and to feel. And that is how you are connecting to your beloved, because it takes you deep, 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 deep. Really.
And it's endless.
It's endless. It's bottomless endless. And endless. Yes.
Endless.
It takes you deeper to like a vortex that goes down deep. Did you think how much deeper? It's endless, because that's what it means to be in a that space of the alpha and the omega, the beginning, the end, the first and that. It's endless, because it's always rotating. So that's the reason why we feel like we're in the washing machine, because there's the eclipse during this time is you're having endings at the same time you're having beginnings. You're having endings and beginnings. And this is what it looks like this, how they show it to me. I don't know what, I've seen that before, but I don't know what to call it. But that's how they show it to me. Something that goes like this, and it's things ending and beginning, ending and beginning. And then it rotates again, and then something might be beginning, but then something's ending at the same time. And that's what we're going through. Are you choking?
Breathed in.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
But anyway, we're going to have to wrap it up. So could you please let everyone know again about your book launch and the title, and just briefly what it's about, and also your coaching that you offer, if you want to give that.
Yes. Sorry, I can't even speak. So the book is out on the 31st of January. Flying Without Wings. Oh, pardon me. Maybe we can put in. Is there links underneath this?
I probably will be able to after, because I don't even know if anyone been commenting, because it's the first I'm doing it like this. So I apologize if anyone has been commenting. I'm not being rude. I just have not seen any comments. So it's my first time.
And I'm sorry, I've had to do it on my phone, and I don't think it shows you a lot on my phone. I can't see anything.
Oh,
Um, so I can only see you, but I
okay.
can't see anything
Thank
else.
you. I only see you. I don't see comments. So,
Yeah. So, because I was going to say, if we could put a link, my website link and
mhm.
Instagram, because I have those, and
Okay.
I'll be posting on Instagram when it's well, it's out on the 31st, but I'll be posting about it anyway.
It's on the 31st in the US, but in Australia, it's the 1st of February.
Yeah, so Australia, it'll be the first. So, and as for sessions, so I no longer do personal one-on-one sessions for readings or healings or personal development or anything like that. Instead, because I'm now just dedicated to my writing path with this. So, but I have created a self-love, energy, and cosmic awareness course that is on my website, and it's also the link is on my Instagram bio. So, and I created this because of through all my experiences over the last 10 years and more, really. But in just like we have barely, as you know, we've barely touched on it here today, but but everything basically, the information I would have loved to have when I started out, and everything that I feel are the key elements to really get through it all with in terms of this course, self-love, understanding energy, tapping into your higher guidance, finding your own gifts, all of that sort of stuff. So so there's lots of content in there and modules. There's also podcasts and everything. So and that's what I created. This had come from Source. They wanted me to create this for people, and it's very affordable. If I was to, I may as well give myself a plug. If I was to do what's in the course, if I was to coach this on one-on-one session, it would be over $3,000 worth in sessions. So I've got it on for 444. It's actually on sale for 333 at the moment, but by the time this goes out, it'll probably be back to 444, 444, and that's Australian dollars. So for anyone in America or England, it's much less because that's Australian dollars. So I tried to make it affordable for everyone, and there's lots of stuff in there about chakras, everything. So everything, well, not everything, but everything that I feel people need to really move through this ascension process, the path, everything, and go into the really deeper levels of self-love. So yeah, so that's on my website, and it's also on my bio. So maybe we could put those links in there.
Okay, that's no problem.
That's okay.
So, and then as far as myself, if anyone is not familiar with me, my name is Sharon Andrea, and my website is www.thereturnofthegardenofeden.com, and I do twin soul readings in which I'm able to read energy. I also do past life regression. I am also a medium where I also connect to your loved ones because they're also going through this ascension as well. And so if you need to contact me for a reading, you could either apply for it online, or you can send me an email at thegardenofeden1111@gmail.com. And then again, once again, on January 11th, I will be conducting the workshop, and it will be an online workshop with Zoom where we'll be able to interact, and you'll be able to ask questions and anything that you want to discuss about your journey. It's in a more private, intimate setting where you'll be able to ask questions and I'll be able to give you answers. And it will also be recorded so you can have it to keep it for future dates. And if anyone would like to attend the class, but they're not able to, it will still be up for purchase if you would like. I am so looking forward to this. It's my first class that I'm conducting, but I am so ready for this because I've been waiting for the moment to come to be able to help others where it's in a group setting where I believe that when it comes to connecting to each other, we never know what might be able to help you because you hear someone else talking about their path and their journey, because you're not meant to do it alone. And it can be painful at times, but it's also a blessing at the same time. So I am so grateful to have Kelly on with me while we
Thank you.
figure out how to get on this Google, what do they call it again? Google Hangout on YouTube. So
Thank you so much for
yes,
having
I
me
so
on.
appreciate, and I'm sure that we'll be back on, because I really feel that there are more who are either on the path, or they just started out in the path, and there's so much information out there. And I know that one of the things, and it's 144 right now, and I know that one of the things that I talk about is, you know, once you have more clarity and you have more information, and this is why Spirit says we're taking it deeper now, meaning that no more surface information, the same things that are repeated over and over again. Oh, this is what's going on with the divine masculine, and this is what's going on with the divine feminine. But it's also about how much more are things expanding for you in consciousness, how much more are things coming for you in terms of returning back to true love, and what it means to return to true love, and connecting to your higher self and to source energy, and what it means to come back together again, and knowing that we're doing it together, but you're still honoring your own path at the same time. And so on that note, I send you so much infinite blessings and so much love to each and every one of you. It is my deepest desire that we are all coming back together again, like Humpty Dumpty. And that, you know, as we're bringing the pieces together, bringing all the pieces together, just know that you're not alone, and that love is all there is and always was. And that is coming from the divine straight to you, from my heart to yours. And so it is.
Thank
Much
you.
love. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.